Right then, another start of a race vlog. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take to do this bit of video, but then how long until the video's finished. So bear with us if it seems rushed and then slow in places. But anyway, we're getting ready to go to the Birkett, which is a 6-hour relay race. When we did it in, I think 2019, can't remember, might have been 2018. 2019, I think it was. We did pretty well. It was really wet and we just kept consistent. We did pretty good. So if you watch that, I think we did some videos and stuff like that, watch them, you'll see what happened and what we did. But basically how the relay race works, you can have, I think, up to 5 cars. And when they're crossing the pit lane, that's when your other car can set off. So you drive past the garage and then you drive out and away you go. Or if you crash or break down or whatever, once the driver's out of the car and over the barrier, the other car can set off. So pretty good if you're wanting to not be too reliant on doing specific times and specific stints and stuff like that if you have a car problem. So pretty good. I think there should be a lot more of it, but it's the only race like this. It's the end of the season for the 750 Motor Club. It works out pretty good. Everybody seems to enjoy it, a bit more relaxed. So this year we've decided to run 2 teams. So we're going to have the Golf, the TT, and we'll go and have a look in a minute. Steph's Mark II Golf, which we'll put that up, a picture of that up while I'm talking about it. But that's going to be one of the teams. Originally the team were meant to be the 330D, which that's gone now. It's disappeared. Put a picture up on the back of the truck. That's another story in itself. But the 330D's gone to Ireland now. Couldn't be bothered to put the engine in it. So we're not going to be the all-diesel team that we expected to be. We're going to run the TT in it. And if anybody asks if it's a diesel and they don't know, we'll just talk about something else. We'll not lie to them, but anyway. So it should be a good shakedown for that. The other team that we're going to run as well is going to be our older beefer with Michael driving. Dylan's a beefer, which is just literally picked that up now after some checks and dyno testing just to make sure it's healthy. And Nick's Leon, which we run in the last Birkett as well. So that should be pretty good. So they'll be an all Seat diesel team. So that'll mean we've got a full garage. There'll be a lot of people, because last time we were sharing a garage with this other team and their team manager were a bit of a divvy and didn't want to move stuff when we had problems because it got crashed into twice and stuff like that. But anyway, so the Golf, pretty much, I've not looked over the jobs list, but I think we could probably just, we've put new tyres on it since the last race. I think we could just kick them and take it and it'll do the 2 hours that we're hoping to do in this, no problem. The fuel tank, 58 litres, should just about get us there. If it's dry and we're not pushing too hard, I think if we're trying to go as crazy as it'll go, we'll probably only get to about 1 hour and 45, but we'll see. But that's the idea. We'll just do what we can. If it's wet, easily 2 hours. So the TT, it's not really where I want it to be. This is where there should be a lot of cooling stuff going on. We've only just built the cars and we're already going to be into the 3rd. So to take it apart and put it back together, hopefully it's better. Rebuild. Struggling with oil cooler temps. So I think I've got a few other options to play with, but we've been in the TCR cars at the weekend. That ended pretty good, but it didn't start out too good. I'm not sure if we're going to try and embarrass me, but let me just wipe my nose, sorry. So yeah, when we were looking at the TCR cars, we had a good pour over them and have a look, and they had no external DSG cooler, which I thought were odd, and no external oil cooler. And the oil cooler temps, so the oil temps were getting up to like 130s, the water temps were like 110, and the charge temps were like 60s. So nothing too low, nothing too crazy. But we're getting 140 oil temps straight away, either way a cooler, but the oil cooler were at the back behind the radiator, so Not sure exactly what we're going to do. I think we're going to try and go for sort of a TCR style intercooler that vents out the bonnet, separate radiator, and then if we can't get the oil cooling to work properly, I think we're going to put the standard heat exchanger back on and just duct the air going to the radiator better. Because we're putting more loading into the water cooling if we do it that way, but if it ends up with cooler overall, then it's no big deal. So the only problem with this is the first test it's going to have is going to be hopefully straight into a 20-minute qualifying session that then needs to come back, swap, I drive it, then Scott come in and get in it and do his qualifying. So if we have any problems, we might be a bit screwed. But we'll see. We'll keep playing. Can't do anything but try. So Paul's, we're waiting on some bits to do this front end, so Paul's busily unpicking all the stuff that we're not happy with. He's just done a switch panel, which Daddy will look at it. Looks a bit nicer than what we had before, and it gets rid of a lot of the stuff that we don't want. And we keep finding little bits of stuff that are rattling around inside, because this car was just ridiculously noisy last time I went out in it, just stuff flying all over the place, and yeah, there were bits hidden under stuff that were screws shut and stuff like that. So we'll get this sorted. And then the idea with this, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one really, because we've got a lot of work still to do on this. But I think what we're going to probably end up doing is get as much tied up as we can, but then the other car, once we're happy with the sort of rough spec of this should then be pretty decent to just take racing. The other car then will do all the same cooling mods, turbo mods, everything, get it all the power way we want it to be, and redo the suspension on that one, and then we'll have the Verkline stuff on that, but then we'll leave this one as it is. I'm not 100% sure yet, we'll have a play. Anyway, for the Birkett, the suspension and brakes and everything's going to stay as is. We've just put vented rears on because the rear discs were going blue and purple, which the TCR cars just run a 2-pot caliper and a solid disc, but I don't like that, so we're going to run these venters. So this is basically the same as the Golf on the rear. So the Golf should be pretty easy. The TT, not so easy, especially waiting on bits. We're going to probably end up doing this the day before and run it on the dyno to be sure it's right, because we only run it on the dyno briefly before the track day as well. So anyway, lots to do. We'll get it sorted. So then Steph's Mark II, after a fresh paint at the body shop, it's looking pretty sweet. Still got a few little bits and bats that we need to sort out inside. We're going to take the passenger seat out anyway because we don't need that. We're going to have to do some stuff with the battery. It's got a fire extinguisher to go in, and the rain light needs mounting up again because this got completely stripped back, and there are a few things Steph weren't happy with, so we're going to try and get that sorted. Engine wise, it's still got the 1.9 PD in it, so there's basically going to be 4 cars all running this pretty much exact same spec. They're all running the same engine, gearbox, turbo. The only thing that differs on between them is the manifold and turbo setup. They've all got a little bit of something different on them. Space constraints and stuff like that. So should work pretty good. We'll keep playing with these and try and get as much as we can sorted on them. But it's a week and a bit until we need to be, probably a week tomorrow that we need to be completely ready. So yeah, a lot of work to do. But luckily a couple of customers' jobs have cancelled, so gives a bit of breathing room. So we're in deep still, but we're getting somewhere. We've figured some stuff out. So this intercooler and this radiator, which is meant to be a triple pass, but it's not, it's just a twin pass, same as usual. It weren't working for us. Still getting too hot. Obviously we've got the DSG cooler mounted here, which worked fine. The coolant temps were absolutely perfect for the DSG. The oil temps were fine for the DSG, so that's good. So what we're going to do is put the same radiator as the Golf back in, because that should work pretty good. That's gives no problem with the Golf. But then we want to duct it, and I don't want to really shroud it if we can. So what we've got here, it's a TTRS intercooler. This is what the TCR cars use. So what we've done, we've had a bit of a dig around some catalogues, and we've found, Robert Airy Motorsport helped us to find it, the catalogue for when they were going to sell these. With the looks, they were going to run them like the TCR cars, and they never did. Probably because they're a lot faster. But there's a catalogue there, so we've took these little pieces out, which this setup is the radiator the intercooler setup, which is pretty straightforward. This is pretty much the same as the other TCR car, so you're just going to change the boost pipe work around, and this is the standard pipe that you can see there, and then we just need to come up and into there, which will be straightforward enough. That's an easy job for Dan to sort out. So the bit you can see at the side here is all the ductwork. Now, a lot of this stuff is unique to the TT, so the splitter brackets and all that sort of stuff. But the main bits we're interested in at the minute is this ductwork here, these brackets, and these brackets for the headlights. So they look pretty straightforward. They're just a flattish piece of metal that's going to have to come round here that's similar to what's already on the crash bar, so at the slam panel. Because the idea behind doing this, we completely get rid of the plastic slam panel. So Danny will put a picture up of what that is if you're not sure. So this is what Rob's lent us from Area Motorsport, is the old ducting from the earlier TCR cars. So this sits intercooler flat. The newer ones leave it a bit of an angle, which we might have modified this to do so, because this bit doesn't bolt. But what this will allow us to do, that bolts to the radiator, which is a bit damaged, but we can easily patch that up. This bolts to the radiator, and you've got perfect ducting. This is absolutely bang on what you want to do. There's no chance of the flow separating from here. The angles are nice and smooth. And you get a small opening. So if you look, we're probably just over a quarter, I'd have said. I'd have to measure it to be sure. But you want to be about a third, usually about a third, entry hole, and then you open it up, and that slows the air down, because you don't want the air just flying through. You want the air to go through as slowly as possible and take the heat away. So that's what that'll do. So the radiator, that should bolt straight to his radiator. I've not checked, but we'll see. And then you've got a similar opening, sort of quite a thin one again, and then you can see the angle that takes, and then that opens out even further again. Pretty steep angle up there, but I think the air will turn around it pretty easily, because it's quite narrow at that point. And then it opens out again, and then that should come out of our bonnet vent here. So we're going to put a gurney on the bonnet as well, because the TCR bonnet opening seems to have a little bit more of a sharp radius, which would obviously help extract it, because you don't want there to be high pressure air going across it, because then it's just like an air curtain, and that'll stop any air getting out. So yeah, we'll see what we can do, because this is off a lay-on. It's totally the wrong shape at the front. It's got an extra duct here, an extra couple of ducts, which we don't need the brakes to come out of here, but it'd be nice to keep one of them for the air filter, because we're going to have to change from the Mark 7 style full thingy. But anyway, a lot of work, 4 days, or 3.5 days left to go until this is doing a 2-hour stint at Silverstone GP, and it's got to be right. So we'll keep playing, see how we get on. So Steph's Mark II, the only other thing we've got to really do, loads of little tiny bits. I think the extinguisher's still not in there, which is not ideal, but wheels and tyres. So we originally fitted all these tyres to these OZ magnesium wheels that Steph's got. I think these are rally car wheels, and they're bent, so that's not good. So we're going to have to knock the other tyres, these Yokohama, I think these are AO50s. These are just his track tyres, not his race ones. You have to knock them off and then put these Yokohama AO52s onto them ones. And what we're doing for every car, all the cars that we're running in both teams, God, he's banging like mad. You don't see banging. Every one that we're running every car we're running has got Yokohama AO52s for the dry, and if it gets damp, we'll keep them on, because we can run quite damp with these. They're really, really good in the wet. So every car's going to have 6 of them with them, so if we wear a pair of fronts out, we can put them on, because they're going to do at least 2 hours each, which I think they'll be fine, but just in case. And then for the wet, we've got various different tyres, but most people are going to be running rain sports, because we've got them already, so we'll just use them. So we'll sort the bent stuff out. You have to paint everything and mess about, but yeah, I have no idea what's happening next door. Yeah, so we'll get that sorted, and then we'll go and have a look where the Golf is at the minute. So Paul's just doing the alignment on the Golf. He's threading the these bars through here, so it's a bit easier to get it all set up. A few other little bits, just got to take the passenger seat out, because we don't need that in anymore. And then this is pretty much ready to load up, so try and get that done today, and then start on the TT and get as much as we can sorted on that. So we're getting somewhere, just over at the fab shop. Dan's just finished the bottom boost pipe. Well, I suppose they're both front boost pipes now. And then the turbo one, they're both sorted. So they're going into the standard pipe, so not as neat as it could be. It's sort of going down and back on its end, but it's not a big deal. So DSG coolers mounted, which this is not ideal where it is, but we're a little bit stuck for space. So we'll just do what we can. And Paul's had to modify absolutely everything. Just the last thing that Dan needs to do over here is weld this crash bar up, but how this is all constructed now, I think he's going to be struggling to get in and weld it. So I think we'll see what Paul reckons when he gets here anyway. But yeah, the only thing that I'm not happy with, but we've not really got many options at the minute, is the engine oil cooler's still down the back here, which obviously it's got to go through the radiator first, which it's the cold side of the radiator, so it should be all right. You can't really see it there. But if that doesn't work, the only other option we've got is, at the minute, to take the inlet manifold off, put the water heat exchanger back in, and that should be fine then. But the reason we're having so much trouble mounting this and the oil cooler, the TCR cars that obviously we're trying to base this on, just not got any. They just have the standard stuff on the engine and the gearbox, and then they'll let the water cooling do everything. So if we've improved that enough, then we might have extra capacity then to sort that out, but we shall see. So a few more little bits to do on this. We've changed the air filter. This has got one of the air filters like what the Touareg has on. We just need to bring the ducting to the front for that. So we want to try and get that as far forward as we can. And yeah, I think get it on the dyno, see how it all works, make sure nothing drops to bits, and then we'll go from there. So we're pretty much nearly there now. I don't know why the weather's got as miserable as it has, but the TT just wants its alignment doing. Paul's done a really nice job of getting all this front end all mocked up. It's been a lot more work than we wanted it to be, which when you're building spares you don't want to really after have done as much as we've done, but we'll prove the concept, and then we might have to mech some parts and fabricate some more bits, and yeah, hopefully it works. We've just had this on the dyno just to make sure there's no leaks and stuff like that, and for some reason it seemed to do it a little bit before, but it's definitely doing it a bit worse now, because this is onto the higher power tune that we had, and it just seems to be wanting to pull timing all the time, especially cylinder one. So not sure what's happening there, whether it's a dodgy injector, because this has got direct injectors in the head and indirect injection, port injection as well. So it could be either of them on that cylinder. When you take the spark plugs out, you can see that the cylinder one's a little bit cleaner than the others, so God knows what's going on there. But I think at this sort of power, it's only like 280s, 290s, similar to what the Golf is, and it should be absolutely fine. So we'll take it as it is, and we'll take some spares with us, and if we have any problems, we'll sort it out at the track. So that's that. I'm sure there's loads of stuff that I forgot about, but anyway, all this needs to go in the van shortly. It just needs a little bit more organising, a bit more tidying up. Steph's Mark II, the fire extinguisher's all in. So we've upgraded this from the pull cord type to an electronic type, which cost an absolute fortune, and that's just so Steph's got a button on the outside rather than anything else, any pull cord. Got his rail light all set up in the middle. Finally got a Darkside sticker on it and the number stickers. So he wanted the kill switch here, and then the fire extinguishers here, which I don't know if them stickers are a bit too small. Yeah, so we need to get this on the dyno and just check it's doing the power it should be doing, because last time it were out, it were leaking a little bit of coolant, but there were a tiny drip on one of the pipes. And then the last job for us to do, we just need to wire this transponder in. All of the transponders in our cars are all wired up exactly the same, so if we have a problem we can swap them pretty quickly. So that's the next job. Put that down there for Paul. So then we just need to go look at the Golf. So the Golf, the trusty Golf, is the only one that's completely ready at the minute. We've got all the spare wheels and everything all where they need to be. Just need to put another strap on a few bits there, and this is ready to go. So it's race day now, and yeah, we need to hurry up basically and get ready. So I think the last video will be them all together ready to go. See. So we meant to finish this video while we're still at work, but we didn't have time to start getting everything organised for a nice picture and whatever, so me and Mike just set off in Lee's van. We're here, the TT's in there, Rob and Danny's filming this. We're going to take it for scrutineering now. Scott's on his way and Paul's on his way, so the Golfs will be here very shortly. We'll take them for scrutineering and everything should be golden. So yeah, thank you for watching this. I don't think it was too interesting, but what's going to happen after is going to be a lot more interesting, so thank you.